Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien and Bubba here on the morning of Thursday, April 15th, 2021. No tax day today, not this year anyway. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning. Stand by for commentary. Well, Americans, if Mr. Paul Harvey was alive today, he would do a commentary on the situation going on here in this country right now on your COVID-19 and other issues. And they all go under the same. And you guys over at YouTube, listen closely. This is not censorship here. You can't censor me for this because I'm not scaring the American public. Neither would Mr. Paul Harvey. You guys would censor him, wouldn't you? Mr. Harvey, these guys at YouTube are crazy. But anyway, here is the problem. And listen closely, you two YouTube guys. The government is the one that's scaring the public by what they did. Because the answer that you should have had when you started this mess with COVID-19 was 1, honesty, 2, trust, and 3, leap of faith. The government should have been honest. There should have been a two-way trust between the government and its citizens. And there never has been, there never will unless you change. There's never been honesty by the government either. And a leap of faith. The government wants the American people, without being honest, without showing trust, to take a leap of faith on the vaccines. By honesty is, you should have said, dear American people, and this is the Trump administration, we have an issue here with a virus we don't know anything about. We're working on vaccines. They're going to be stopgap measures. They're not going to be the mitigators. We don't want to mitigate this because it'll cost us money. Okay? We'll spend a lot of money to help you, and as you say they've done, they spent what? Almost $2 trillion under Trump, another $600 billion under Trump, and another $1.9 trillion under Biden. And what has that accomplished? Other than give us money for a month and a half or so, and businesses money for a few months? Really nothing. And people don't want to go to work because, hey, you get unemployment. $600, now it's $300. So that's not going to help them a little bit there. And the businesses. Hey, we got to bail out the airline business. We got to bail out the banking business and the other businesses because we can't afford not to do that. Yeah. Okay. So that's what they did. Nothing for mitigating the virus. And that's honesty and trust. There has never been trust between the citizens and the government because each one is wary of the other one. And then you want them to take a leap of faith based on what you're doing. You should have told them, on the vaccines, they're not 100%. They're not even a mitigator. They're a stopgap measure. Are they going to be 100% effective? No, you're going to have issues. And we're hoping that for every 100 million vaccinations that we do, we get one issue. Well, that's not happening, is it? You haven't even got to 100 million. And so far, you got a vaccine, Johnson & Johnson, that's showing otherwise. But then again, everybody knew that because that's the technology that's old. Now, Pfizer and Moderna took a different tact, a new technology. We don't know what the outcome's going to be on that. And that's what the government should have been honest with the people. Okay? There's going to be issues there. And you notice that on all those COVID-19 relief bills that have been passed by the Trump and the Biden administration, not one red cent has been accounted for unexpected problems with the vaccines. That's going to be for people for the rest of their lives. Okay? Like these blood clots are happening with those 6 women here in the States, or AstraZeneca in Europe, where almost 20 plus people have died over there. Now you halted the J&J vaccine here, just as the Europeans halted AstraZeneca over there. But they're not even as truthful and honest with their people as you are here with yours. You don't have no mitigation at all for this. Let me give you a story here, okay? It happened about a century ago, 120 years ago. There was a president, Theodore Roosevelt, who wanted the Panama Canal at all costs. He wanted to make sure that the Americans got the, hey, we built it. Yeah. So he did everything. Even implored because the Colombians told him to go stick it when he asked for the treaty. So he had the Frenchman who wanted money for his thing called Baru Barilla, and Mr. Roosevelt over there developed a little hanky-panky down there where he prevented the Colombians from stopping the so-called revolt, and it wasn't really a revolt here in Panama. It was just, you could call it, it wasn't even as bad as your African Americans with your rioting that's happening in Minnesota and like the rioting that happened here in Atlanta. It wasn't even as bad as that. That was the extent of our revolution. Okay? So, 1904, he signed a treaty with the Frenchmen, acting in Panama's interest, according to them. There was no other Panamanian. That kept around for 75 years. Caused a few disagreements and 2 deadly riots. Okay, 58 and 64. Well, in 1905, he appointed John Stevens, a good engineer from the Midwest. And John Stevens had I can do this. I've done everything else up here. And it was tough. And this doesn't seem to be tough. Well, they had yellow fever. And they were doing the same thing that the Biden and Trump administrations have done. That the Roosevelt administration was doing the same thing with yellow fever. Oh, we'll get this out of the way here and we'll get started. We don't have a vaccine for it. Yeah, but we'll do this. So we got to clean up the town. So they went to sanitation, as they call it, their version of sanitation. So they did. They hired Mr. Dr. William George Gorgas, and he went to work, except that they put all kinds of restraints on him. So from 1905 to 07, he had all kinds of restraint, and the deaths started piling up. Americans didn't want to come to work here because, hey, it was deadly. So you started importing people from the West Indies and Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. Their descendants are still in my home country. You left them there. Yeah. Well, and they started dying like flies, really. So in 1907, and here's your version of it that you put on your Wikipedia here in the United States. John Stevens resigned. We don't know why he resigned. He just resigned. And the reason was he brought his wife and daughter to Panama. Dumb guy. I don't know why he did that, but he did that, and they died. And he was a broken man. He left. He died in 1943. But John Stevens, I bet you to the day he died, he irked at Roosevelt for what he did. Plus, he also, because of the way Roosevelt's administration was doing and hampering any way they could, because they were doing like the Trump administration. Oh, we'll tell the public what we want to them to know and not what we have to tell them. So they'll hear what we want them to hear. And that's what Roosevelt was doing in Panama. And Mr. Stevens had the concern about the Gaillard cut, Culebra cut, the Americans call it the Gaillard cut, where you took a mountain in half and you passed the Panama Canal through it. And he thought that that was going to fall down on the ships down there because it wasn't sound, okay? He had his concerns, and he had some great concerns because there was a lot of people that died building that thing or blowing up that mountain in half. So you went right through one side of the mountains on one side, the other side of the mountains on the other side, even today is there, okay? Well, he did that. He left, and of course, Mr. Roosevelt was irked, just like Trump. Yeah. So he decided to appoint a military guy, a major, later general, W. Goethals. Major Goethals, he went to work immediately. He stopped all the red tape on Dr. Gorgas. And Mr. Gorgas says, okay, we got to mitigate these mosquito problems here. Sanitation alone will not do it. So instead of just sweeping the streets and doing that, he went over there and every building he destroyed and rebuilt in Panama City and the Canal Zone. He rebuilt it. Okay? He took all the people, stopped the progress on the Panama Canal, and that irked Roosevelt, but he couldn't do anything. So he did that for 1907 to 1908. And he went to the mosquitoes, and he mitigated wherever they were. Standing water, wherever they propagated, he killed. And the mosquito was more or less non-existent. And he did that every year, and every year they've done it since, okay? Mitigated where the deaths by yellow fever came down to where you had 1,000, you may have one. That's how good it was. And how good it's been since I was a kid. When I was there from 1959 to 79, you rarely saw yellow fever issues in Panama, either in the cities or in the country. Well, if you went to the provinces of Darien or Bocas del Toro, because those provinces are still not even, no humans hardly live over there. It's dangerous over there. Anyway, Mr. Gorgas did it, and he did it by doing the mitigation, something that your government has not done with COVID-19. Any government on this planet has not done with COVID-19. And now you got the issue here. And YouTube guys, you censors, I am not scaring the American public. It's your government that's scaring the American public because there is no trust, there's no honesty, and you want them to take a leap of faith. Really? After all this? After coming this week and saying, oh, we're going to have to halt for another 10 days the J&J vaccine. We only got 6 people dead. And the governors, oh, there's only 6 people dead. But the governors that are growling at, they don't understand. They represent your state to the federal government. And you represent the citizens of your state. You got to have the trust of the citizens of the state before you even, it's not the federal government. Your government works at a certain way, and you guys don't understand how your own system works. Our system works similar to yours. And that's what we have. Honesty, trust, and leap of faith on all Federation members and the Federation. It's the only way you can work. This is your favorite alien and Bubba. Do you understand what I mean, Americans? Really? How are you going to get rid of this no honesty, no trust, and no leap of faith? Good day.